What's up, everybody? Welcome to Friday's Daily Betslip. A lot of football to talk about today. Beautiful thing. I'm your host, Reed Wallach. You can follow me on Twitter at Reed Wallach. Joining me today is Donnavan Smoot. You can follow him on Twitter at DSmoot3D. Like I said, a lot of football to get to. We had our opening NFL game last night, Bills versus Rams. Of course, the Bills absolutely took it to the defending Super Bowl champs. We will talk about overreactions this week in week one of the NFL. We also have our game of the night, Louisville versus UCF. That is our prime time Friday night college football game. We have a handful of best bets to get you. MLB, college football. I got a bet for you in every time slot tomorrow afternoon to make sure while your butt is planted on the couch, you have bets filled in. Loaded show. Donnavan, what's up, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, man. Yo, I'm thoroughly shocked still, but by the way, from what happened last night. I mean, not only the fact that just like, and obviously like we're gonna get into it, but the way that game felt, like the first 5 minutes was like, okay, cool, like football's back, and then the rest of the game really felt like no energy in SoFi whatsoever. It's a weird return to football.
It was a weirdly flat outing, and I know the Bills really like pummeled the Rams and everything, but it didn't. Maybe that's like what a real domination's like, and we're not really in our flow just yet. But there was something that was lacking from that game, and maybe it was just like the lack of juice from the Rams specifically. But I was really, and look, we'll get into our overreactions,
Yeah.
but really quick, I just was not. I wasn't happy with the first game. I was hoping like I remember last year we had Bucks Cowboys, and that was like a shootout, and it was back and forth, and we had some fireworks and stuff. And this one was kind of just like one-way traffic domination. Even the Bills, like early on in the game, few like sloppy interceptions, but based on either like a jumped route or a drop pass. I wasn't super impressed by a first outing for an NFL season. I expect like high quality, even though it's week one. I have rational expectations, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But we will get into our actual overreactions from that game and all of week one in about 20 minutes or so. We got some best bets coming up here. But listen, you have a best bet for the weekend, you want to shout it out, just drop it in the comments. And while you're down there, like and subscribe to our videos because we're awesome. And we got already kind of beers and bow ties in it. Hey guys, long time. Reed, congrats on your Nets thing together. Listen, it's not even NBA season, but we're still giving out some thanks to the basketball team. So we're locked in on football for now. We got about like 5 weeks until NBA season. I could start, pulling my hair out. But thank you. Thanks, Beers and Boys. Thanks for checking in. But with that being said, let's do some best bets here. Let's fill the pockets for the weekend. David, I know you got one baseball play, so we'll start there, and then I'll let you get in with your 2 college football plays before we turn it over to me. So let me hear
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So my baseball play is one that I've been sticking with for I guess about a week now because I'm going with the Dodgers on the run line minus 1.5, and I basically have stuck with it for a week because they played the Padres last week as well. But listen, the Dodgers have just dominated San Diego all season long. They're 10-3 against them straight up. They're 10-3 against them against the spread. They're 8-2 in their last 10 straight up and on the run line. And so this is really just backing the Dodgers, and the Padres are gonna have to show me something eventually to tell me, hey, we can actually show up and compete with Los Angeles, and they haven't done it all season long. Mike Clevenger, he's on the mound. He got rocked in his last outing against the Dodgers. Didn't even last 4 innings. Went 3 1/3. Gave up 5 runs on 4 hits, and gave up a home run. So when it comes to playing the Dodgers, the Padres have been a mess all year long. So I'm just going to stick with the Dodgers on the run line. And so after that, I want to switch gears, but still kind of stay on the West Coast. I'm going USC minus 7.5 against Stanford. I am kind of buying in to what USC is doing with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. Obviously, like last year, you look at this matchup, Stanford beats them by 2 touchdowns. It's not really a close game. I think USC's offense looks really, really good. And so I'm gonna put my faith in them. And I think that, and excuse the noise, we're having some renovations behind me, but like that's exactly what USC has been doing. They kind of, they've been building this whole thing up this entire offseason. And
Great segue. Way to talk through it.
thank you. I'm actually proud of that one. But yeah, so I think that the offense has come a long way, and you're going to see more than 28 points on the board for USC. They'll end up covering against Stanford. And then my last one hits close to home, but I'm taking Alabama. I'm taking Alabama to cover against Texas minus 21. You can actually get this I know that some places still have it at minus 20.5. And you can get that extra point. And listen, when Texas booked this game a couple years ago, they thought they were going to be national championship contenders. They thought they were still in love with Herman and all that stuff was going to happen. They are not there. They're still kind of rebuilding the program. And you saw last week, even against a very, very weak program, the freshman quarterback Quinn Ewers, he still has a long ways to go, right? And there's still throws that he has to learn how to make, still things that he has to adjust to. He made some nice throws down the seam, but Alabama is in a league of its own with Georgia and Ohio State, and I think we kind of understand that. And so this isn't really the spot for Texas. I don't think that they're ready for it, and so you take Nick Saban against.
Okay.
You take Nick Saban against a former assistant and a freshman quarterback, and I'll take that all day. So I hope Texas wins. Listen, again, hook 'em. I went to Texas, graduated from there. I hope everything goes well. It's probably not though. So
Yeah.
I'll emo heads with Alabama.
Yeah, I think you make a lot of great points. We spoke about this on the early read earlier this week on Tuesday. Go check that out on the YouTube page. Also, all the college football breakdowns. But it's a great point. Texas, I don't know if they're going to be national championship good this year. They probably won't. But if this game was happening in November, it'd be a different story. Ewers has his rhythm. He has everything down. This offensive line has figured it out. It's too early in the season, week 2, to really expect this team to be up to snuff to keep up with the number 1 team in the country. So I agree with you 100%. To me, this is Bama or nothing. Little nugget for you. Nick Saban as a road favorite of 2 touchdowns or more, so minus 14 or above, 21-11 against the spread. So he's in that situation. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know you always think like, oh, well, like everyone's going to be on Alabama. You can't bet him. Well, like Nick Saban also is like one of the best against the spread coaches in all of college football. The guy, he wins outright. He covers. He does it all. So I agree with you. I think that this is a little too much too soon. And listen, let's say Texas does get smacked tomorrow. I don't think that this is like an indictment on Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers and they suck. It's just you're basically the best team in the country. It's okay. You're allowed to lose. It's not the end of the world.
Of course. And I think honestly what probably a very manageable game script that you can kind of predict is Texas might keep it close for the first quarter, maybe even up until the first half. And I think that might be a stretch, but I think that Alabama eventually pulls away, right? You saw Bryce Young last week, and there were some throws down the field that he missed, and so I think that if he gets just 1 to 2% more accurate down the field, those big plays are happening, and then the game eventually, the margin of victory expands after that. So listen, the first quarter might be really, really close. You still have Bijan there to kind of like, walk ears into everything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's Alabama, it's Saban. Just lay the point to make the right decision.
Yeah, completely agree there. So what I'm going to do here is last week I did one bet for each day because it was Thursday through Monday were the games. Pretty sure I went like 4-1 giving these out. So we'll see how we do now. Little condensed version. I'm going to give one for every time slot. So I'm going to go the early game, the mid-afternoon, the night game, and then the late night game. So I'm just going to go rapid fire here. First up, Duke versus Northwestern under 57. So I know Northwestern won that crazy game in Ireland. It was a high-scoring game. A little fluky to me. I mean, the Northwestern offense looked good, but Nebraska also onside kick kind of jump-started a lot of scoring in the second half. Duke has a defensive-minded head coach and Mike Elko now. And Pat Fitzgerald as a favorite at Northwestern, a home favorite, 28-7 to the under. So, and if you look even further, where Northwestern's laying 10 points right now, they're 16-3 to the under. So I know you don't want to get married to trends too much, but this supports my hypothesis that Pat Fitzgerald, he gets up for games where he's an underdog, and then when he's the favorite, he likes to sit on the ball, he likes to choke the clock, and he likes to just run this out. So I like the under 57. That one got shot up. It's now coming back down. So under 57, Duke Northwestern. This game's at 4 o'clock, but I'm going to count it for the 3:30 slate. Houston +4 against Texas Tech. I still like Houston. They won a crazy game against UTSA last week. This feels like a last team with the ball wins the game. Texas Tech, while they scored 60-plus points and they have the Western Kentucky offensive coordinator, Zach Kitley, this Houston offense could hum. Clayton Tune, quarterback, Tank Dell, star receiver. He had 2 touchdown catches last week. Texas Tech let up 5 plays of 20 plus more in Murray State last week through the air. So I think Clayton Tune's going to be able to challenge this Texas Tech defense. So I'll take the points, and I think Houston wins this game outright. Next up, and this is going to be a little like, we'll call it like Inception, like I'm going to take Florida money line versus Kentucky. And don't just place Florida money line straight because I'm going to circle back to this later on. But I like Florida money line. I think they win this game outright. The spread is a little inflated now, but you look at Kentucky, they're starting 3 running backs are now out for this game. Chris Rodriguez, their star running back, he's suspended. There's backup 2 are on the injury report. Their number 1 backup, Ramon Jefferson, he tore his ACL. They're not going to the Swamp, Florida. Also, Anthony Richardson, incredibly dynamic. We all saw the 2-point conversion against Utah. I think he keeps it up against a Kentucky team that couldn't contain Blake Gabbert. Yes, Blaine Gabbert's brother of Miami of Ohio last week. He scooted for over 40 yards on the ground. So I think Richardson's going to be able to run wild again. So I like Florida money line. Don't hit submit yet. Hold that thought. We got to think something to pair with it. It's around minus 220 right now. And then my late game, just got bad news, which I'll get into, but BYU money line against Baylor. This was my favorite look this week. Maybe I am a bit of a idiot for this one for not waiting, but BYU did just rule out their top 2 wide receivers, Puka Nacua and Gunnar Romney. So they are a little shorthanded in this one, but I still like BYU at home to get some revenge. I trust their offensive line to set up Jaron Hall, and for Hall to get this ball downfield. This is a relatively green Baylor secondary that is replacing a lot of guys. They weren't that great on the road last year, even though they were Big 12 champs. And also the Baylor offense has not been challenged yet. They hung 60-plus against Albany, sure. But, I mean, Blake Shapen, I'm still waiting to see it. They're replacing their top 2 running backs, their top 3 receivers from last year's team. I just can't get there. I'm taking BYU. I know they're down their top 2 receivers, but I'll trust my team. I've been sipping the BYU Kool-Aid, so there you have it. There are, 4 bets for the college football slate, and kind of going to be clenching through this BYU game late night Saturday.
Yeah, the BYU one's really interesting because I saw that you said that BYU has a chance to make the playoff.
And yeah, being without their top 2 receivers will make that a little bit more difficult.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'll trust the home crowd. I'll trust BYU to find a way. So Romney didn't play, and we're good on time, so I'll go a little bit further into this one. But Romney didn't play last week, and they still went to South Florida, and they smoked them. Of course, Baylor's is significantly better than South Florida. Ironically, South Florida actually started Baylor's starting quarterback from last year. That's enough for you there. But Nacua did have 2 touchdowns in the first half. He's out also. So, listen, it's obviously difficult, but at home, Jaron Hall's a dual threat. We'll see if the offensive line could hold up and BYU could get the ball moving downfield. I do think BYU is going to need high 20s, maybe into the 30s to get clear of Baylor. So like maybe 31 points is where I'm hoping BYU could get to. With Romney and Nacua, I was confident they could do that. This, maybe I'm a little less confident, but we'll see what happens. Well, at home, I'll take the team. This line dropped from, it was up near 4, now it's down to 2.5. BYU still favored, so, we'll see how it goes. But I guess of the 4, I'm maybe less confident than the other ones. But yeah, if you want to bring up the recap graphic, we could go through the bets again as I just powered through all those really quickly. But anyway, Donnavan, he's up first. He has the Dodgers on the run line, minus 1.5 against the Padres tonight. And then we have a whole boatload of college football for you. We got USC laying 7.5 against Stanford, and Alabama minus 21 against Texas. And then me, starting at 12 o'clock. I have the under 57 in Duke Northwestern. Houston catching 4 against Texas Tech. Florida money line against Kentucky. I'm going to pair that with something in a little bit, so hold that thought. And then BYU money line against Baylor. You can probably get that around minus 135 right now. And those are our bets for the weekend. And now let's get back to the Pro Bowl here. Let's talk some Thursday night football in week 1. So, of course, the Rams absolutely the Rams get whooped by the Bills last night, 31-10. Really just poor outing all around. Matthew Stafford had nothing going. It was pretty much just pitch and catch with him and Cooper Kupp. But Stafford really never had it going. Josh Allen was absolutely dynamite. Completed over 80% of his passes, ran wild. Really just a dominant performance. And I think it's somewhat of a confirmation bias for the people who are saying the Bills are the best team in the league. They are the favorites to win the Super Bowl. But before we get into our overreaction on this game, Dom, and any other thoughts on Thursday night football now that we're one game into the season?
Yeah, I don't know if this is like an overreaction, but like I'm really curious to see what the Rams look like for the rest of the season because one, if Stafford's elbow is messed up, they are in trouble, right? I think I would like aside from just playing catch with Cooper Cup, Allen Robinson was basically a non-factor, and
Yeah.
you kind of thought that after Odell leaves, you bring in Allen Robinson, and he can at least maintain at the wide receiver two position. You didn't have Van Jefferson last night, and he wasn't really there. And listen, you may put that on Stafford for not looking at him, but there's questions to be had, especially because in the backfield, which I had a lot of questions. Darrell Henderson was basically the feature back. Cam Akers had 3 carries, no
Yeah.
yards. The Rams, I feel bad because I forget his name, but they had the rookie running back. He's
Aaron
now
Williams.
Yes, he's now out moving forward. So it's kind of looking like this is going to be Darrell Henderson's backfield. But I don't know if McVay is kind of doing this like Bill Belichickian thing with the backfield, and he's going to go and maybe next week is the Cam Akers game, and they're just going to go back and forth with games. But there's a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball with the Rams, which normally hasn't been the issue in terms of like the skill position players. For the last 2 years before they got Stafford, it was just can Jared Goff be serviceable? And now you kind of have a question about Stafford, about wide receivers 2 and 3, and about the running back. So I'm very curious, where that takes us.
Yeah, I think obviously very concerning, and we'll come back to you for kind of your overreaction. I was a little concerned. I could see a world, and this wasn't me saying I did not bet on this outcome, but I could see a world where the Rams missed the playoffs last year, coming off that Super Bowl win. You had Aaron Donald contemplating retirement, even the McVay rumors, all that stuff. And this is a top heavy team. This is a team that relies on really 5 guys to carry kind of an underqualified rest of the team. So depth is an issue. Maybe they get hit by the injury bug. So if there was a world where the Rams did miss the playoffs or something, would I be shocked? No, not at all. But I know you'll get into your overreaction. My overreaction, I guess, and this is somewhat, we're a little tongue in cheek because we're trying to like almost predict what's going to happen. But Josh Allen was the MVP favorite heading into the season. And guess what? He looked like it last night. And the numbers right here, 26 of 31, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, did throw 2 picks. He also rushed for 56 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Allen was absolutely ridiculous. And I just want to slow everyone's roll on this because I feel like everyone gets caught up in you win a prime time game in really, really convincing fashion. You look damn good doing it. It's like, MVP. There he is. Like, that's it. It's over. Like, we are 1 game through the season. And kind of my knock on Josh Allen, at least looking back at last year where he kind of was looked at as this like budding superstar, and now he is a superstar. He laid a lot of eggs last year. This was a team that got blown out by the Colts last year. This is a team that lost to Jacksonville and didn't score a touchdown. So again, this isn't something where I'm like, look at Josh Allen right there. I got to go bet him to win MVP right now. Like, that's not what this is. This is all right, he was the favorite and he looked like it. Like, maybe there will be another opportunity if I really think he's going to win MVP. I think Lamar Jackson is, but as of now, I'm not changing my stance based on this 1 game and how good the Bills looked. That I think is the overreaction from this game. And
Yeah,
Donovan, I'll go to you now for yours. I know you're looking at the LA side.
yeah, and part again, a big part of Josh Allen's performance last night is the fact that Los Angeles just didn't come to play, and they had a lot of holes. And so I want to see what the Bills, who, like you said, were very inconsistent last year, what do they look like now from weeks 2 through 18, right? But for
Yeah.
the Rams, my overreaction would be, hey, these guys are going to miss the playoffs. Like they look bad. They look
They look terrible. They
they
look
look
they
they look
look for
they
week
look
1.
awful.
That's a bad look.
Right? And it's like, hey, at home, it's ring night. Odell's in the building. You got the Rock there trying to like everything seemed to be there to where you can at least score some touchdowns, and you get shut out in the second half of the game. And Matt Stafford again, his elbow is looking bad. I just don't understand. I'm very curious now because of all the questions that I said that I have about the Rams a little bit earlier. Will they be able to compete with the San Francisco 49ers, who look like a more complete team, and if Trey Lance can be serviceable, they are Super Bowl contenders. Are the Cardinals, going to fall off in the second half of the season, because if they don't, then the Cardinals are a good team as well. So like the Rams might end up being the third best team in that division if they don't get any type of help. You see Aaron Donald, this man was double and triple teamed all night, and the moments he was single covered, it's the ball's out like this, right? So
Yeah.
he's not able to make a true impact on the game. The Rams are going to have to figure out, they're a move away. They're going to have to make a move, and I think that it's very clear, whether it fits on the offensive line, where Stafford got
The
sacked.
offensive line was a big issue.
Stafford
The
got
Bills
sacked
were just
7
living in
times.
the backfield.
They didn't blitz, not once.
Yeah.
And they were still able to get home whenever they wanted to. So you either have to make a move for an offensive lineman, you have to go maybe find another pass rusher. Jalen Ramsey was getting cooked all night long. And I'm not too worried about the short stuff, because that's like that scheming stuff. We're just going to get the ball out, that's pace. That's fine. When he's giving up these go balls to Stephon Diggs and he's out here pointing at him, that's a problem. Jalen Ramsey looked bad. So when your stars, like you said, on the top-heavy team are not good, where do you go? And I think that the Rams right now, it seems like it's a very real possibility that they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I wrote in my season preview for the Rams, like if there was a world where they missed the playoffs, it wouldn't shock me at all, just based on like how top heavy they are. Like one guy gets in, like if Kupp got injured, I'm not saying
that was you, but that was you. I had the Rams in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah,
right?
So I was a little bit more prepared. I was a little bit more prepared for this outcome.
Yeah, I had them in the Super Bowl, and so you look at them now, and it's like for sure, like what is happening? What's happening? My whole prediction week one.
So, like, I guess I was a little bit more prepared for it. Let's like predict Sundays, like week or Mondays, week one overreaction. Like, I love this stuff. This is like what really gets me going. Like, trying to forecast, like, what are they going to be talking about on the talk shows on Monday? And again, this is completely predictive. This has no bearing on anything. But mine, I'll go first. I'll take the AFC South is wide open because, listen, there's 10 home underdogs. Or I guess 9 now home underdogs now that the Rams played going into week one. There's going to be some chaos this week, and that's just how this works. That, there's a lot of preconceived notions heading into the season. So I could see a world where Tennessee looks very bad. Tennessee looks like they miss A.J. Brown. Derrick Henry might have lost a step. Tannehill throws 2 picks, and all of a sudden the Giants win week one. I could see the Texans maybe hanging around with Indianapolis. I could say, listen, it's a prediction. It's a predicted hot take. And I could also see the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I actually bet to win the AFC South, beat up on a Washington Commanders team that I think sucks. So all of a sudden, maybe the AFC South looks a little bit more competitive than it's just the Colts, then the Titans, then a big drop off, then it's the Jags and Texans. Maybe it's a little bit more up there. So my hot take will be that the AFC South is more wide open than it meets the eye right now. I mean, the Jags are right now like plus 650 to win the division. I think Doug Peterson is a damn good coach. I think he got forced out at Philly for the wrong reasons. And Trevor Lawrence, we see these guys take year 2 leaps all the time. Why can't it be Trevor Lawrence? So there's my hot take.
I'm with you in 3 of those 4 steps, just because I don't think that the Texans, at the end of the day, the Texans play 2 games.
What if like the Colts? What if the Texans cover and the Colts don't win, and maybe it's a little clunky?
They played 2 games against the Colts last year. They got outscored 62-3 in 2 games. There's nothing like. I think now that
I'm going to bet the Texans.
Now that you have Matt, I'm telling you. Listen, as a Houston native, let me tell you what happened. I like Dameon Pierce. I like Dameon Pierce. Brandon Cooks is underrated. I think that Derek Stingley Jr. is going to be fantastic. This is not the matchup for them. The Colts are not the matchup. They were the worst rushing team. In the Texans were the worst rushing defense in the league last year. Now you have Jonathan Taylor coming into town. It's not going to happen.
They hired Lovie Smith.
It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. But I do think that the Jags have a lot of value. I'm with you there. I think that the Jags can actually push Indy in the AFC South and maybe make things a little bit more competitive. I want to go to my overreaction, and I think that everybody's going to be saying this except for one person, and that's Stephen A. Smith. But I think a lot of people are going to be on the Cowboys bandwagon come Monday. I think they beat Tampa Bay this week. I think Micah Parsons looks amazing against a Tampa Bay offensive line that is severely beat up right now. You're still waiting back. Like Chris Godwin is on track to play, but he's coming off of an ACL. It's going to take him time to do that.
I feel like he's not going to make an impact. Like I'm not counting on him to really show up.
Yeah, so it's really going to be Brady who had that really weird absence, is going to be him and Mike Evans in the passing game. But how much time is he going to have to drop back and sling the ball around the way that he wants to? So I think the Cowboys go in there and they get revenge from last year. I think Dak, even though that he has an ankle thing, I think him and CD's connection really, really takes that next step this year. And the Cowboys look really good in week one. And I think everybody's going to turn that and say, oh, well, when Michael Gallup comes back, if Zeke and Tony Pollard look good, the Cowboys have a chance to make a run in the NFC that's not really that strong. So that's what I think is going to happen, because I do think that Dallas is going to put on a pretty good show on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think it goes twofold, right? Like Dallas wins, and then Tampa Bay, like their offensive line looks bad. Everyone talks about how like Brady might retire, all that stuff. So like I think I could totally see something like that happening. And by the way, I would like go against that hot take and be like, I don't buy Dallas, and I still think Tampa Bay might be all right.
I think if we're predicting just knowing how everybody talks about the Cowboys,
yes, especially about those two teams specifically, two very divisive teams.
Yeah, you have the Cowboys and you have Brady, and so the hot takes are going to fly. So I think predicting that the Cowboys are going to make a deep run is probably penciled in for the A block on a lot of shows come Monday.
Mike Greenberg Monday morning pointing to the camera like,
exactly.
Is everything good in Jerry world? Okay, but that was great stuff. I love talking about overreactions and predicting them. So that was great stuff. So let's transition though into our game of the night. This is a game going down tonight. Louisville going down to the Bounce House to play UCF. Louisville, kind of a rough start. People pegged them as maybe a potential ACC dark horse with Malik Cunningham. Things didn't really go their way last year. They start this year on the road at Syracuse. They get absolutely whooped, lose 31-7. Maybe a bit of a misleading scoreline, a lot of turnovers, a lot of drives into Syracuse territory that didn't work out in terms of points. So we spoke about this game on the early read. My guest, Tom Casale, he has a pick on this game. Go check that out after the show if you want like a full college football breakdown. There's also chapters. You go over the underdog bets. We talk about this game. One of the longer conversations we had about games about this Louisville UCF game. Donovan, I know you have a play on the total. I have a play on the side. My guy, Tom, he has a play on the side as well if you want to go check that out after. But UCF, before we get to it, UCF, they pick up transfer from Ole Miss, John Reese Plumlee, dynamic dual threat quarterback. And this UCF team is arguably the best defense in the AAC from last year. They bring back a host of key contributors, but they're going to play fast. They're going to play a tempo. These are two dual threat quarterbacks. Donovan, what do you got here for your play on the total?
Yeah, I think these quarterbacks put on a show and they drive the total up.
I agree.
So I'm taking the over in this one. Louisville, again, like last week, wasn't really what everybody thought Louisville was going to look like. And look, it's week one, stuff happens, and you kind of just have to let it go. But this Louisville team has a lot of talent. Malik Cunningham is there at quarterback. They have a majority of last year's roster back on the squad this year, and Louisville was fairly decent in this spot in terms of hitting the over/under. They were 4-3 against the over as an underdog last season. That's what they are tonight. UCF was one of the better teams against the over as well. They were 7-5-1 last year against the over. So I really think that these quarterbacks kind of settle in tonight, specifically Malik Cunningham, and they put on a show.
No, I completely agree. If there's one way I'm playing this total, as Miles World checks in, says UCF will win. Miles, we'll get to that. We'll get to the side in just a minute here, but we are going to talk about the total because I completely agree with you. I think that this game does have all the makings of last team with the ball wins. These two played last year, a really crazy game. Louisville won basically at the horn on a pick six, which was just absurd. It was a tie game. Dylan Gabriel, who's now over at Oklahoma, he threw a pick taken to the crib for Louisville. So, again, I don't think Louisville, I wasn't as high on them heading into the year. I don't think they're 31-7 against Syracuse bad. Maybe they're not as good as people thought. But, I mean, this is a team that had 5 chances across the Syracuse 40. They only scored 1 touchdown. That's it. That's all. They didn't score any field goals or anything. I mean, this is a team that just couldn't get out of its own way on the road. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe the offense gets going. I think Cunningham can make a few plays. But to me, I spoke about the Florida side. I'm doing a little Sunshine State parlay. Give me the Gators. Give me the Knights in the Bounce House. So that's my parlay. It comes out to just over plus money as well. Really high in this UCF team. I have them to win the AAC. I think John Reese Plumlee is exactly what Gus Malzahn wants to make this offense hum. They're going to play a tempo, similar to how Malik Cunningham's dual threat. John Reese Plumlee also is. I think that this offense is great. And the defense brings back a bunch of key contributors. I trust them at home. And I don't know, maybe Louisville, the offense figures it out. But again, it's tough to lose a game at Syracuse and then come back on the road to what is typically one of the toughest places to play in the group of 5 in the bounce house over with UCF. So I think that the Knights get this done. I think the game does go over because I think Louisville's offense figures out, but they still have 31 points to Syracuse. So what does that say about how they're going to travel on the road here in the humidity of Florida? So UCF money line, pair that with Florida. I don't really like the spread, though. I think that it's a little inflated. It was around like UCF -3.5 before the week. Now it's up near 6. No, thank you. Just the money line for me. And as we bring up the community pick, which I will pull up right now, they're with me, and let's hope for our sake they're with the over as well, Donnavan, because the community has taken they're laying the points with the Knights -6 against Louisville. They think they get the job done in the bounce house as well. So maybe they'll win. I don't know what's a high scoring game that will get us there, like 40-31 UCF. Clear it. Just absolutely soar over. But yeah, that's our show. So if you're just joining in late, we gave out a handful of best bets, all for college football. We gave out one baseball play. We also talked some NFL overreactions and predicting them for Monday. And then there's our UCF Louisville breakdown. That's our show, though. But Sunday afternoon, the debut of Stacking the Box, right before kickoff, our guy E. McMillan going on with Matt Verderam to talk all things NFL and NFL betting right before kickoff. That's Sunday at noon on the BetSided YouTube channel. How do you find out about that? Well, just hit right below and hit subscribe. You'll know everything about our shows. You can go check out the Early Read, which is hosted by me. Check out Daily Betslip, that was bad. Daily Betslip, Monday to Friday from 5 to 6. And also on Fridays, 4 to 5. So until then, though, everyone, have a very profitable weekend, and we will talk to you on Sunday.